Welcome once again to the Squares of the Round Table. I'm Jive Ivan Rivera.
I'm Mike Boyle.
I'm Jeff Stein.
Howdy.
Okay, welcome once again to another Monday filled with all kinds of things that we hope that you will enjoy. All right, movies, games, comics, mayhem, and most precariously going through the expressway, traveling at high speed in a brand new automobile that my girl ended up buying over the last week. And yes, have to say lots of good things to be said about a Chevy Equinox.
I rented one 2 years ago. It's a good vehicle.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're familiar with this model then.
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. It might be a different color. I'm familiar with this car.
Ours is red.
Okay. Mine was
What kind
silver.
of a burgundy?
I don't know anything about Equinox. I'm a Lifetime Fitness member.
We just had the summer Equinox.
Yeah.
It was last week.
Was it
Yes,
last
we did have the summer Equinox. You're right.
Yeah.
It was hot as fuck too. So how do we all fare in the days in hell?
Two hobbits showed up in front of hobbits showed up at my apartment, gave me some rings, and told me to get to Mordor.
So we didn't have no air conditioned breakdowns, and nobody got parched, and nobody ended up turning into dust.
No, I gotta be honest. I'm seeing posts from people who are like, "Oh, I wish it was cooler." It's like, yeah, you know what? I'll take turning off on the air conditioning and being able to wear whatever I want without wearing 15 layers of clothes over it's butt cold freezing outside and I gotta like dress up to the point of where I can't even see my toes anymore because I'm wearing that much clothing. Because it's just that bone chilling cold.
My constitution being what it is, I'm a little butane heater the year round. So when it gets hot, for me, it's really hot. And when it gets cold, then it's kind of like I don't have a problem with it too much. So it's just that type of a thing with me personally. I can deal with the cold with a little bit more than dealing with the heat. And then with my, with my assorted situations, when it gets up into the, 103, 104 heat index type of a situation, it's hard for me to breathe. But so that's why, I'm sitting, in my apartment, 3 air conditioners going, sitting on my sofa in the nude, and I'm just like, that's so that's that worked out for me. But no, I fare much better with the cool. That's why I'm into the spring and I'm into the fall. So I'm not a big fan of the scorching heat weather. And if it gets cold, but I can adjust to the cold of the winters though a little bit better than I do with the heat in the summer. And you, Mike?
Actually, I kind of prefer the cold.
Okay.
Y'all crazy.
I know.
Y'all crazy. I want this tape noted for when we get those days where it's negative like 20 and there's like 6 feet of snow. I want to remember this conversation when you tell me you'd rather not have this.
Well, I said cold, not snow.
Right, cold. As far as snow is concerned. Okay,
yeah, snow sucks. Yeah, we know. But you know what? My truck is 4-wheel drive, so ha-ha.
Well, and as far as snow is concerned, I've gone through all the major snowstorms in Chicago in the last 50-some-odd years in my life. I mean, yeah, I was there in 1967 when we had the 3 days of snow that happened to snow an inch an hour for 24 hours. And it stopped Chicago cold. Literally, nothing moved. Everything was buried.
Yeah, I was alive when there were rotary phones.
And then there was 79, which was crazy. There was 84 when we got to 80 below zero about New Year's.
What would you like to not have a fax machine, Ivan? Not even a fax machine. You had to go to the Western Union and send the telegram.
My Morse code is pretty rusty.
Yeah, okay, you guys. All right. You're trying to turn this into a get off my lawn moment, are you?
No.
Okay. No.
I'm just having fun.
That's what the show is all about. We enjoy you talking, and we enjoy you listening.
There you go. But so as far as like people complaining about the heat, well, yeah, let them complain about the heat. I mean, if you're able to survive it, okay, wonderful. But then don't mope about it when it gets so cold that you end up freezing your little you're freezing your little chestnuts over it. You know what I mean?
Chestnuts.
So, yeah, some people listening to the show don't have chestnuts.
Well, for those who have chestnuts, okay, let me go ahead and reiterate the point.
For those who have to go to the chestnut store, right?
Yeah,
is that what we're talking about? We're talking about actual chestnuts, aren't we?
I have no idea. Are we talking about squirrels and chipmunks? I have no freaking
clue. So, how was your weekend, Jeff?
It was kind of slow. Although Saturday night was interesting. Went out to Ruth Chris. They had like one of these dinner special things where it's like a three meal thing, and I gotta be honest. While I thought the service was really was exemplary, and the food was good, it just felt like there was just something missing. There's something about the experience that seemed off. We got there on the early side. There weren't a lot of people there, and I really don't have a problem with families, but there was really nobody. There weren't many people in the restaurant, and they sat us right next to a family with a very, very young kid in like a high chair, and the kid constantly was screaming. And unfortunately, with where I was sitting, I was beginning to lose my hearing. And on top of it, it seemed like they were trying to set a land speed record to get us out of there. We got there, and literally we were out of there within 30, 40 minutes. And it's like, I'm going to a high-end steakhouse. I understand. I appreciate that you got us the food and you got it so it's warm, and that I was hungry and I did want something when I walked in, but it started to turn into like you were trying to beat Chili's or something about the amount of time you wanted me in and out. Like you had somebody better to use the table for. And that's kind of frustrating when you're paying those kinds of premium prices. Well, and it'll be a while until I go back to Ruth Chris, and it's funny because I just signed up to get all their emails and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how often you guys go to like those high-end, the high-end steakhouses or not, or if you got which ones you've been to or not.
I went to a high-end place with Julie the other week. I don't want to go ahead and put the name out there, and it was because I did a DJ gig there, and we, I had a gift card because I earned it from the gig, so we decided to go ahead to check this place out, and for all the shishi lala surroundings and everything like that, the food really wasn't that good.
So you went to the Sizzler?
No.
Okay.
I'm talking downtown. The gift card I had was $100 gift card.
Oh, so the Olive Garden?
No, not the Olive Garden.
Okay.
No. Again, like I said, I don't wanna sit here and give this kind of a critique to a place that might, inevitably might hear this and, I might offend badly. I mean, they treated me good as far as the DJ gig was concerned. I mean, drinks, money, they paid me well, respect, but they gave me the gift card to come back to go eat. And so I had the card for about a year and a half, and we finally got to use it for our anniversary. And here it is. We're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to turn to a big steak, and I'm going to turn to these potatoes and all this other stuff. And, the menu was not exemplary. It was really very, shishi lala. And for the portions that they were charging, did not meet up at all with what my expectations were.
That's too bad.
So,
shishi lala is a technical term, right?
Yeah,
shishi lala, that's a technical term, right?
Yeah. Well, like upper end, fancy spancy, all the, like when you go to those big places where a porterhouse steak, is the price of an Oldsmobile.
Right.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever been to a steakhouse where the steak is the price of an Oldsmobile. But okay. I don't think they're that much, but okay.
Late last year, I went to Smith and Walensky. They were right downtown, right across from the city winery, across the river, right in the city. Because my sister lives in the city, and she wanted to go somewhere for her birthday for a dinner, and we all went there as a family. And the Smith and Walensky, it was really good. It was probably the best steak I ever had in my life.
It's funny. I used to back in my radio days. When we moved downtown, I used to have to work at the Sun-Times building, which is now where the Trump building is. And
the dump building.
My parking would be at Marina Towers, and I paid a monthly. Well, right next to it is Smith and Walensky.
Yeah, right by the House of Blues.
Right by the House of Blues, which is hysterical because I worked down there and around there for a good, about 2-3 years. And the irony is I think I maybe went into the House of Blues twice, which is hysterical because I had parking paid for. But same thing with Smith and Walensky because it's literally right there. And I never. It's funny because I went. It's been a long time since I've been to Smith and Walensky. I did like it. I think the most interesting one is I don't know if you've seen these Brazilian steakhouses, Faro de Chao, which is essentially. I'm convinced it's Spanish for get me a wheelbarrow so I can get the hell out of here when I'm done.
Are you talking about Fogo de Chao?
Yeah.
Oh, now there's a place to eat. Yes, I've been to Fogo de Chao. I was honored to be there because I was volunteering for Mathers, and that's what they awarded us for the year. And they took us all. Mathers took a bunch of us volunteers to Fogo de Chao. I'd do that again.
Do you know, Mike? Do you know the premise for that or no?
No, I don't.
So
I like the fact that you had the green and red card on the table. If you kept it on the green side, they would keep bringing skewers and skewers and skewers of food. Cut you off whatever it is you wanted and put it on your plate. These nice little servings of fish and steak and pork and whatever it is they had. And then they took us on a tour to the back room where they had all the ovens and such. They got 17 ovens back there.
Yeah. So Mike, the basics of it is imagine one of those buffet places, except the buffet is steak, and really in reality you don't need to get up. And like Ivan said is they give you this cart, and when you're ready, you turn the cart over to green, and they will come around, and they have maybe 17, 18 different types of cuts of meat, and that includes chicken. And then they have a salad bar you can go to where they have things like certain types of whole cut meats like prosciutto. They'll have different types of cheeses. They'll have salads, as well as they'll have some soup and some different and smoked salmon and pieces like this. And Mike, I swear to you could. Literally. If you at some point you could sit there and you could be like, okay, I need somebody to wheel me out of here because you can continue to eat. They'll keep bringing it.
Yes, that place, man. If I had the opportunity to get back over there again, man, I'd be there in a heartbeat. The buffet table with all of the different meats, all the different cuts of meats, and then the vegetables they had there. Some of the more exotic fruit that you don't usually see at a buffet table. Just everything about it just said class. The interior of the restaurant is very wonderfully blended and aesthetic. It's really, really a very nice place to go.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it there's obviously I don't know where you all are listening to this. For people in Chicago, there's one in the city, and there's one out in Rosemont now. So
the one I went out to was over by the Rivers Casino.
Right, that's the one in Rosemont. But it's funny. I just ate and yet I feel I don't know why.
Here, Yeah, let me present something to you, gentlemen. Okay, we were talking about screaming babies and such, earlier in the show. Okay, I read an article online, and there is one restaurant that says no strollers, no children. So, do you think this is right?
Private businesses can choose who they want to patronize.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm just trying to get your feeling on this. I mean, do you think that, I know that there's the no shirt, no shoes, no service sensibility.
No shirt, no shoes,
no
dice.
But do you think that people with children who want to go patronize a restaurant, but yet they can't because of the fact they don't want strollers in there and they don't want children in there?
Well, the free market will decide who can go and who can't and who will and who won't. So if you can't go there, then just go somewhere else and then just complain to the management. And if they get enough complaints, maybe they'll change their policy. But until then, it's a private business, so they can serve who they want to and who they don't.
Okay, so you're saying that the owner is in the right to be able to patronize or have people, the type of people he wants to patronize his business because it is his business.
Yes.
Okay.
Political and stuff, but this has just happened recently in the news where a certain spokesperson, press secretary for a certain administration, had been booted from a restaurant, and they got a lot of backlash for it. Yeah. And now something similar has happened in Canada, where someone was wearing a particular hat with a particular political phrase on it, and he refused service, and the owner of the business gave him the pink slip for doing that. And I think we all just need to calm our tits because now people are like, I don't know, maybe just the media plays it up. Maybe we all are civil and we can all live together and agree to disagree on certain issues. But kicking somebody out of a restaurant because of their political ideology is kind of crazy. It's kind of nuts.
Well, it's what the climate has become. Okay. With all the around and the way the political arena has been played out in the media, and for all its sensibilities, I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there that want to make more of it than they should or that they could. I mean, we had a restaurant in Chicago that was also not serving people because of a particular hat that was manufactured. But then after the backlash, that happened in the media, they saw that it was ridiculous and they just stopped doing it altogether. And now that they made it not an issue anymore. But on the other side of the coin, there's a way. There is a better way to go about certain things without having to cut, people to the quick. I think we've become a hair trigger society in this day and age.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, any little thing you go and say, and all of a sudden people are pointing fingers, a shaking finger at you, and like, hey, what's with that? What do you mean about that? What's going on with that? You can't do that to me. Another case in point, okay, there was a club that one of the owners, one of the co-owners that owned this club, I'm withholding the name because there's enough coverage about it already, turn to your Facebook and turn to your IG, but they had posted a very insensitive picture of a Mexican lady holding a child, and of course, it's understood what the situation that's going on, but there was no need for the insensitivity of it and for him to play up the insensitivity of it. And the backlash of that spread like wildfire on social media that, how can you be so insensitive about this, with the separation of children at the border and, the deportation of such and, and everything that's just going on currently. See, this is what I'm saying. Our society now has become a very hair-trigger place now with many, many different things on many, many different planes. And
you're making a lot of sweeping generalizations. You really are. And that's part of the problem, too, is, look, if we're really going to go down this road today, then for everything that you're talking about, I can point to aspects where because we have this, there are things that aren't happening anymore. Because we have Facebook and you have Facebook Live, and you've got a smartphone, we get to see when something happens when you get the driving while black, okay, or something along those lines. And I think Mike hit it earlier out of the park, which is at the end of the day, the market is going to bear out what the market's going to bear out. If you don't want somebody there who is of a certain political persuasion, okay, but understand there's going to be consequences, and there have been consequences to the good, there have been consequences to the bad, but at the same time, I don't know, it's a strange time. I don't have all the answers to it, but at the same time, sit there and in fairness, as three people who've worked in the media, I'm a little perturbed, quite frankly, by how quickly you're willing to sit there and go, well, it's the media. Well, guess what? We're the media too, and we've been in the media for a long. We've been in the media.
Right. No, I understand. I understand your point about the media end of it, but okay. And I'm not saying that all media is out to perpetuate what it is that they perpetuate. But there is media out there, the fake news, the alternative facts, whatever you want to call them. That there are certain media situations that take there and they sensationalize the situation because that's what it thrives on, the whole sensationalistic sensibilities of certain things that, if they were addressed in a manner to which it's not a sensational situation,
then you wouldn't watch it and you wouldn't read it.
There you go. There's my point. Then you wouldn't bother with it if it wasn't sensational. Now, whether or not it smacks of any truth, now that's a whole nother thing there now.
Well, look, there's three sides to every story. There's yours, there's mine, and there's the truth.
Well, yeah.
And nobody really knows the truth because we all have biases. And if that's really where that's really where you want to go, that's fine. But what you think is fake, other people will sit there and say, well, that's the truth. Well, other people will sit there and say, that's fake. You're going to say is the truth.
Well, because everybody's got their own opinion about things. Of course, everybody's going to judge for themselves what they feel is the truth or what is not the truth. I mean, that's a very individualistic thing.
Many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
Yeah.
Opinions opinions are like asshole. Everybody's got one, but the thing is that, and the thing is, depending on who you are in this situation. See, for me, speaking for myself, okay, you know what? People have their businesses, okay, and they can have whatever people they want in there or not want in there. That's their business. Coming from a family who has had businesses and have dealt with the public and have dealt with the situation, okay, my mother and father owned a flower shop, a tavern. They ran buildings for years. They've done real estate. So I get it, okay? And now, do we think what certain people are doing is right or wrong? Okay, that depends on that individual as to how they're going to address it. Now, yeah, what they might feel is, okay, it's my place. If I don't want that hat in here, if I don't want that political situation here, well, then that's up to them. All I can say is, well, that's right, or, oh, no, that's wrong, And so, and as far as the media situation is concerned, I mean, yeah, you've got good media that gives you good, solid information and good, solid facts, and everything is fact-checked. And then you got, media that, okay, you got media like, the National Enquirer or the Star or all these other types of places, all these type of magazines that take a little thing, they take a little biscuit and they turn it into a piece of cake.
I mean, we're talking about magazines. I mean, here's the thing.
I'm just talking about, media in general, whether it's magazines or, radio or television or to that effect. I mean...
Right. Well, here's the thing. We allowed a real consensus of news to die, and it's been a slow, painful death. And we've allowed this, and part of the reason we've allowed this is in the name of in some regards being able to cater to individuals more and more. Which is, there are conservatives out there that want a conservative point of view from their news. So, as a result, Fox News was born. And there's a part of me where I sit there and I bang my head against the wall, but I see their point, which is, okay, I want something that's considered a conservative outlet. And really, in reality, when I look at everything else, there doesn't seem to be something out there for me. And as a point, MSNBC went to the left because it was good marketing strategy. If tomorrow there was no Fox News, I would imagine MSNBC might overnight flip its entire format and go conservative. And I'm just making a point that we're at a point now where it's about filling market niches and catering to audiences more than it's about a lot of what we were all told when we went to either broadcast or journalism school back in the 90s, or in your case, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
That's right. Back when news, like when Fred Flintstone would get his stone tablet in the morning.
What was it like to be on the rooftop with Edward R. Murrow in London? What was that like, Ivan?
You know what that was like? He opened up the microphone on the top of that building and said, "This is Berlin." Yes. You want to talk about Edward R. Murrow? I can go you toe-to-toe about Edward R. Murrow. I can go toe-to-toe with you about Walter Cronkite. I can go toe-to-toe with you with Dan Rather or Bill Curtis or a number of other people. Okay, you want to take me there?
I'm Bill Curtis.
Just remember, if you're going to go that, we're going to talk about London, and then you talk about Berlin, you're in the wrong place, Ivan.
Well, that's where Edward R. Murrow was. So
you can see Berlin from London?
Yeah, well, apparently, according to Ivan.
Nice. I see London. I see France.
Well, speaking of pictures, I was going to see Incredibles 2 over the weekend with a friend.
Yeah, that's what we told you to do.
And when I... Thanks, Mike.
You didn't listen.
Well,
you didn't go.
I did listen. However, when I got there, the theater was pretty much sold out.
Ooh.
So we ended up seeing Jurassic World.
My God.
Okay.
You poor man.
Right.
And so I'm going to try to do this as spoiler-free as possible.
Okay.
But once again, I am convinced that the premise behind Jurassic World, as I've stated before, and this is my hypothesis theory, is that the people who make horror films, they rounded up all the white people who are from the horror films, and they created those archetypes, which is basically the stupid white people, and they put them in this Jurassic World, because these have to be the dumbest people I've ever met to do the dumbest things I've ever heard. And they continue to do them, and you're sitting there the entire time with this look on your face going, why would you do that? Why would you ever do that? What were you thinking? I'll give you a perfect example. I don't feel like this ruins the movie, so I can mention this.
Okay.
Because, and they've talked about this in the trailer, that the island is going to blow up. So as a result, it's the question of our time of whether we should save the dinosaurs because it's important to save the animals. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, I get where they're going with it. I understand, and this goes to something I see all the time on Facebook, which is I mean, literally, I saw today some woman in the back of a boat who a shark came by and she tried to pet it and it tried to take off her hand. And it's like, it's a shark. What are you doing? So the whole entire premise is there's people out there who want to save the dinosaurs because they feel it's important to have them in our world. And in particular, one of the main characters is like this, and I'm just sitting there the whole time going, "Do you not see the problem with it? Do you not understand that there's a reason why they don't exist now?" Or let me phrase that: in our world, they don't exist, and maybe it's time for them to go. And the answer is no, they don't. They don't, and that's where it starts. And I mean, in fairness, Christopher Pratt's great. I think the acting's great. I enjoyed it as a popcorn movie, but at the end of the day, there's some things that I sit there and I'm like, I can't. I'm just like, why would anybody think this way? And in fairness, there's a lot of excitement about Jeff Goldblum in it. The truth is, he's in it. Maybe his screen time is very limited, and he never really interacts with Chris Pratt or the actual. How can I say? The
proactive cast.
The actual cast and plot. Yeah, he never interacts with that.
Yeah.
And
does he interact with the dinosaurs?
No. He's not even involved with that. I mean, really, in reality, it's kind of what you see. He pretty much stays where he's at, what you see in the in the trailers that are out there, which is he's basically talking to Congress. And I will say that there is a post-credit scene at the end, all the way at the end of the movie. I will admit that based on what they did, I'm intrigued to see where they go for a third movie.
Oh, they're going to go for a third movie. This movie has made $1 billion already.
Right, but they were already greenlighting a third movie, and I questioned how you were going to get there.
Yeah.
Well, they've showed you how they're going to get there.
Okay.
And in fairness, they've created a scenario where at least I'm curious to see how that's handled and what's done. I don't know that the plot is going to go there, and there's some interesting things that come out of it at the end about talking about where we are from a societal standpoint, about who we are, what we are, and a lot of that comes from Jeff Goldblum's sections. But like I said, it's a good popcorn movie. I wouldn't pay the nighttime fee for it, or if you've got Movie Pass or you've got the new AMC premiere thing, go. Absolutely, you'll at least have a good time. But like I said, I wouldn't pay more. I wouldn't pay like an evening price to go see it.
Right.
So basically, you're saying it's a better DVD at home movie.
Well, or like I said, if it's a scenario where it's like, okay, I'm going on, AMC is the $5 Tuesday. Okay, well, it's cheaper.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's a bad name movie.
Or if you've got Movie Pass where you're at the $10 a month, or this new AMC thing where, I don't know if you've seen this, where you can pay $20 a month for an AMC and you can go up to 3 movies a week. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Is that limited to the number of, like, the time of day?
I don't know. I haven't paid enough attention to it yet. I mean, I literally just got in this whole AMC Stubs thing. So. AMC
is a bit of a further drive for me. I'm closer to a Regal.
In fairness, Mike, you may want to check out what's called Movie Pass, and the Regal may be in Movie Pass. Movie Pass does a similar thing to what AMC is doing. That's where they copied it from. Is a company called Movie Pass that was doing it, and now AMC is doing their own. So they basically cut out Movie Pass.
Okay.
No,
I'm going to look into that.
But yeah, like you said. Jurassic Park was number 1 in the box office. It's interesting because based on where was it that I was reading this, that they were talking about this year's, there it is, the 2018 box office, which just hit $6 billion in record time, is up 9.3%, according to ComScore. Meanwhile, the summer box office remains a force up 15.3% compared to last summer, which was the lowest popcorn season in over a decade. So
yeah, the only thing that propped up the first quarter was Black Panther, and then the whole second quarter is the highest earning second quarter of any year. Ivan.
Yes.
Are you flushing the toilet?
No.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
All right.
No.
There's noises there, man.
Noises there. I heard.
So-
No, that was a motorcycle, folks. We just got in.
Hooray!
Hey.
Yeah. Well,
We get the slow clap, Ivan.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm still amazing. Anyway. All right. I'm just joking. Anyway.
Wow, I just realized this. So Josh Brolin is in 3 movies this summer. Apparently, he is in this Sicario Day of Soldado.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Apparently, he's in that, and apparently that's overperforming. And Uncle Drew, I've heard good things about Uncle Drew. It's not my kind of movie, but I hear good things. Which ironically stars NBA star Kyrie Irving of all people. Kind of crazy.
So, just to put a cap on Jurassic World 2, what'd you give it out of 5, yeah, mans?
About 3 or 3.5.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's I went with a friend. We went on a Friday night. I would have preferred not to have paid so much, but
Okay.
it's what it. Like I said, we just seen. The plan was to see Incredibles. We booked up. We couldn't make it work. We didn't want to wait an hour. And Jurassic World had openings, and so that's kind of what we did. But I am going to try to see I'm going to try to see Incredibles probably maybe this week, maybe on Tuesday. But coming up this weekend is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that next week. Of course, we're going to spoil the heck out of it next week. But I'm worried that Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to get overshadowed, or it's going to overshadow the Whitney documentary.
I didn't even know.
There's a Whitney Houston documentary?
Yes, indeedy, folks. I hear my trusty issue of Entertainment Weekly.
Ooh, he can read.
All right, Ivan. All right.
Ivan.
That's great. Whitney opens July 6th. It's a documentary called Whitney. Probably limited release, but
Probably.
kind of frustrating that it's like I didn't want to see that Fred Rogers documentary.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to see, was the Mr. Rogers documentary, and trying to find it is a whole nother thing.
I just want to go over the 4 things this is from Entertainment Weekly magazine about the 4 things that EW's Sarah Rodman broke down a few key beats from the eye-opening documentary. Number 1, Houston was straight up not a Paula Abdul fan, and some shade was thrown at Janet Jackson as well.
That makes sense.
Videos from the early 90s show Houston fretting over the attention given to the dance-centric styles of Abdul and Jackson. Because she was just obviously Whitney was just purely a singer, whereas Janet and Paula were all, all about the dance moves as well.
Well, that was because Paula comes from a choreographed background, and then, Janet Jackson, well, enough said with Michael Jackson, kind of runs in the genes,
Oh, yeah, and that Father Joe just died last week. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Secondly, she and Michael Jackson enjoyed hangouts marked by companionable silence. As solo stars unable to lead ordinary lives, the pair felt a kinship.
Weirdness meets with weirdness.
Yeah. Third point here from the Whitney documentary, the drug use that would haunt Houston began in her teens. Family and friends say she tragically began trying marijuana and cocaine at a young age.
Okay.
She died in 2011? No, it was 2012. She died in 2012. And then
locally in the Chicago area, it looks like there's 2 theaters. There's the Century Cinema in Chicago, which is 2828 North Clark, and there's also the Regal Lincolnshire that it is playing at.
Yeah, Lincolnshire is where they were playing that's where they were playing but
that's just north of Deerfield.
But those are the only 2 theaters, according to Fandango, that are playing it. Obviously, if there are people who are listening to this not in the Chicago area, I certainly recommend that you go check it out.
It's playing in Gurney Mills.
Is it, according to this, it's not showing me that, but...
it'll be Friday the 6th. It'll be playing in the Gurney Mills Theater. So that's close for me. And the fourth point I wanted to make about the Whitney documentary from the Entertainment Weekly magazine is that she learned her iconic arrangement of the Star-Spangled Banner after one listen. According to veteran bandleader Ricky Minor, she was just that good. And she was a very talented artist. But towards the end, she was like, these famous videos of her flubbing her lines, and of course the controversial thing about them digitally increasing the diameter of her arms because she was just so skinny. It was scary. But yeah, she was a very talented person. Very sad. She died she was only 48.
Well, and the whole thing is that she comes from royalty. I mean, her mother, Cissy Houston, and then Dionne Warwick. They just all come from that musical royalty. I mean, Cissy Houston, she worked deeply, with the Sweet Inspirations, which of course also worked with Elvis Presley. And, Cissy Houston, has also made movies as well as being a singer. Yeah, I mean, Whitney had some very big, she had some big people in her life for which she followed and such. It was just unfortunate that, and I still say that Bobby Brown had a lot to do with the exacerbation of her problems, of her drug problems.
Yeah, didn't their daughter died like a couple of years later.
Hey, don't be cruel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's still shrouded in mystery as to how that happened. Nobody ever, not that I know of in the current media, has ever announced just how or in what way that she died. I mean, nobody really, went into a deeper investigation of that. So I think I can almost say that's a cold case as to what happened with Whitney's daughter. So, which is sad. And the fact that Bobby Brown's career was on the way down while Whitney's career was on the way up. And I think there might have been a bit of bitter jealousy in that marriage between, Whitney and Bobby. Because he thought, I'm going to leave New Edition. Bobby Brown, my prerogative. He had the bull by the horns, and then all of a sudden, nothing. But then here, Whitney is popping off top 10 records, one right after the other. Then, of course, she came out in The Bodyguard, and she did the fabulous "I'll Always Love You," which was written by Dolly Parton. And she took it to a whole nother level there. And, the world was hers to take, but then, Bobby, I'm sure, just started feeding that addiction that she acquired as a teenager. Okay, I had no idea that she had problems previous to Bobby Brown, but now that you mention it, yeah, that would be easy to do. Cocaine, once you venture into that arena, that's a whole other thing. That's, opiates, heroin, and, all that other stuff. That manufactured high. Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, so Whitney is playing starting Friday, July 6th in limited release, but still not impossible to find at theater. At least not in our area, so that's good.
Right. Well, and according to Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 88% score. According to Wikipedia, the Fulton County Medical Examiner Office announced in September 25th of 2015, it had classified as the cause and manner of Bobby Christina Brown's death while citing a Superior Court order that prevented the office from releasing any details to the public. The findings were provided by the Fulton County District Attorney and the Roswell Police Office. In March of 2016, one of the judges there, a Superior Court judge, granted a motion on a request by local media to unseal the report. The medical officers would release the report upon the granted motion. As to the cause of death, medical examiner says that cannabis and alcohol were found along with a prescription medication used for anxiety and or sedition. It cited an underlying cause of death as immersion associated with drugs intoxication. However, the manner of death could not be ascertained as a summary statement read, death was not clearly due to natural causes, but the medical examiner has not been able to determine whether death was due to intentional or accidental causes and has therefore been classified a manner of death of undetermined. Okay.
Which brings me back to my original point. shrouded in mystery. We'll never know for sure. A lot of people say that she was drowned. A lot of people say, yeah, she got drugged up and then tossed into the tub. I mean, there are so many theories that surround that whole thing. We'll never know.
Well, but that goes back to, so this brings us full circle to where you're perpetuating fake news.
Well, no, I'm not perpetuating fake news. I'm just saying.
You are.
No, I'm not. I am just stating that
but
we will never.
Without fact is in fact fake news.
I am smelling fake news. Okay. Well, the medical examiner does say that cocaine was in her system, so
right.
Still a terrible tragedy.
And I'm just saying that not that I'm trying to make for fake news. It says that I'm just saying that we'll never know just how it happened.
Right, that I agree with you. We don't know how.
That's all I was saying.
Well, but you had conjuncture involved in it, just like we're never going to know exactly what happened to Tupac Shakur. We're never going to know exactly what happened to Biggie Smalls.
Well, that's my point. We're never going to know. And that's exactly what I was trying to explain to you. That we're never going to know for sure what happened, if she drowned or if she was pushed in there or anything. We're not going to know what happened. That's what I was saying.
No, that's not how it came out, man.
Well, then I don't know what you're hearing, but that's what I said.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to pause for the cause, folks. I'll see you guys back in about 10 minutes.
Okay. So, Jeff, what news have we got other than, there's a wedding this Wednesday, isn't there, Jeff?
Well, yeah. For people who are not aware, probably one of the bigger events in comics in a while is apparently Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman, and Selina Kyle, a.k.a. Catwoman, are supposed to be married. And as such, there was, a matter of fact, tomorrow night at some of the different comic book stores.
They're doing midnight releases, yeah.
There's going to be a midnight release. Unfortunately, I'd give some names of some places, but by this point, when you hear this, it's probably going to be too late.
Yeah, this podcast probably won't post until like Wednesday or Thursday. So
Right. So, but by the time you hear this, it is available.
Yeah.
What's unfortunate is on Sunday morning, the New York Times released a story about this, and I kind of opened it up just to kind of look at it. And while it's great that there's the publicity of the New York Times doing this, I gotta be honest with you, I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, it spoiled the entire thing.
They dropped spoilers.
They dropped spoilers. And when I say they dropped spoilers, they tell you what happened. And it's funny because I was tempted to pick up an issue, and I'm sure it'll be interesting, and maybe I'll consider it down the road as a trade, but based on the fact, I was literally going to go to to my local comic book store and go buy it, but I gotta be honest, reading what I read about what it is, and I'm not gonna mention what it is, but I was a little disappointed in what I heard and what I read, and as a result, I'm like, yeah, you know what, not interested, and not sure that it was worth a special trip to the comic book store to make that happen, and that's. That's unfortunate because there are going to be stores because of this that took on extra copies of this particular item because there were people who were outside of the usual norms who buy comics who were going to pop in and buy it. And I don't know if this particular story helped or hurt. And I don't know. I sent you something earlier in the day from DC Comics about why they did it. The writer for Batman at the moment is a guy by the name of Tom King, phenomenal writer, and he went on to Twitter. He was on Twitter, and his comment on it was quote, "I'm pissed about things and excited about other things. I have no idea how to comment on anything without spoiling anything. Batman 58 is out on Wednesday. I'm incredibly proud of the issue. I hope you pick it up. You still have questions. The answers are there." And he attached some incredible Jim Lee artwork that, if you haven't seen it, It really is. It really is a great shot.
Is Jim Lee doing the art for this book?
There's a lot of people doing the art. It's an 80-pager.
Oh, it's like alternate covers, or
I don't know if it's alternate covers, but I know there's multiple artists.
Okay, all right. Maybe just split up over. Okay.
Right. Again, forgive me. I'm not as up on this. I just knew that this was a big piece. I can, like I said, this is what DC said, and I'd love to get your take on this, Mike. Here's they gave 5 points, which is DC's sales strongly advocated getting the news out ahead of OSD. I'm not sure what OSD is. So the moment of realization
official street date.
Official street date. There we go. So the moment of realization did not occur before hours before events began. We did our level best to try and spoil it here on this page over and over again and failed. When I say this page, they sent this to a
Yeah, DC sent this to New York Times.
Comic book shops, to local comic book retailers.
Okay.
This is what went to comic book shops. We tried to spoil it. We tried our best to spoil it here on this page over and over again, and in parentheses it said, and failed. The New York Times article was posted 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, so it would have been about 8:30 Chicago time in the morning. Not out of pride, please, but to get information out as soon as we could. The second point, in an abstract, we believe the news would break Monday morning, giving arrival time of physical copies in the store, and the reality that the copy or scan would end up being passed to uncontrolled comic book outlets. And as mentioned before, any discussion about financial remedies for the problematic DC product must occur after the product is on sale. While the Times piece is more fulsome than some might like, it does not spoil the shocking ending for the book for the fans. We're working on getting this posted here for you. I stand by my belief that Batman 50 is one of the best single periodical issues of the decade. This is a special moment in comic book history, and if it's not the book we want, it's the book we need. And those are the 5 points that they mention. I have some contention with the fact that the New York Times piece does not spoil it. Based on, and in fairness, I haven't read the story, and I'm thinking about this beforehand, but do we want to give some spoiler space here for a second, or do we want to?
Can we continue without spoiling it? I don't know.
I think we can try. We can try.
Okay. Because you said you did not read the New York Times article?
I did.
Okay, you read the whole thing. Okay. So maybe it doesn't have all the spoilers.
I know what the spoiler is, and I have a hard time based on what the spoiler is, finding myself saying, okay, I'm still going to the comic book store and buying it.
Okay.
Rather than going, well, I can wait till later, or I can wait for a trade, or I can wait for it to come to the library, or something like that. You know, that kind of thing. I don't know, but this is, this has become common. This unfortunately has become a little bit more commonplace with these big comic books, and unfortunately, I don't know why, but these companies are big on spoiling events before they happen. I mean, in fairness, and again, I'm trying not to tip my hand too much here. In fairness, there are some events that when they're spoiled in advance, you still want to see them. I'm not sure this is one of them based on what I read. And so really in reality, I like, for example, when Spider-Man was revealing his identity in Civil War, you still wanted to see it. You still wanted to see that it was going to happen.
Yeah, how all that goes down, yeah.
Right, how it went down, how it happens, what goes on. I don't know that this is something where I don't know. I don't buy it, and that's the best I can say. Is I personally can't see myself walking into the store right now when I could use that money. Yeah, I could use those $5 to go to McDonald's or something.
If it's an 80-page unit, so I presume if it's paid like the $79.99 price point.
Maybe something along those lines. It's got to be somewhere around that price. Yeah.
If Batman number 50 is is a larger issue, then it's probably not going to be your average $3.99.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say maybe I would imagine it could be as much as 8. I would imagine it's more like 6, but that's just me.
You'll see.
I was a little surprised, and I don't want to spend too much time other than, like I said, I was just disappointed in
so you're more dissatisfied with how the story was revealed, not about just because it was revealed.
I think the problem is that, like I said, with Spider, I can just use this analogy. When it came out that they were going to reveal Spider-Man's secret identity, and that happens, yeah, I wanted to see what happened. I wanted to see how it went down. I wanted to see that. I was interested in that. That's something I wanted to see. With the way that this was spoiled, it kind of gives away what's going to go on and where this is going to go, and I don't feel like, okay, now I need to go buy this and see what happens. I don't feel the same excitement of I need to go buy this and see this. And that's that's the best way I can put it without going into any further detail. And I hope it does well. I think it will. I think there will still be people who are going to go out and buy it. I still think people will be there on late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, to go ahead and buy this book. And I think it'll still do well because people had already pre-ordered this book in advance. But I have seen people online who are like called their local comic book store and been like, yeah, I know I had 3 copies that I asked you to save. I don't want them anymore. And that's a problem because then those guys are stuck with 3 copies. And what do I do with them? And I don't know if there's going to be enough walk-up. We'll see. And that's part of the problem is for the retailers.
Yeah, the burden is on them for various reasons, not just not because of New York Times spoilers, but just the internet in general, and that's the main reason why comic book stores go out of business is because people don't pick up their pulls. Yeah,
I mean, I've been on the other side of that. I've been somebody where it's taken me a while to get to where it took me a while to get to my pull box. And the only thing I can say to that is when that happened to me, the comic book store that I was using moved. And I liked them, but it was no longer convenient for me to get there. So it made it much harder for me to get there, so it took a lot longer. And I'll tell you what was really kind of frustrating about it is that there would be books that I know that I should have gotten that weren't there. And when I mentioned that they're not there, the individual was like, oh, yeah, I think I gave that to somebody else because, I figured I'd get another one. I'm like, but it's in my pull box. I don't know. Like I said, after a while, I kind of get frustrated, and I see both sides of it.
Yeah, there have been issues. Well, with my pulls, mostly Transformers, and of course, I got a bit of Transformers news for today. For later in the show. But as the point, we're just being a patron of a comic book store. I've had a comic book store in 3 different locations inside my hometown where it moved or the owner died and the friend took over and then they moved because the rent was too high. But anyway, I was able to get to my location, and there were times where, sometimes they didn't get it or they forgot to order it, and that's kind of a bummer. So, but I still tend to like to patronize my establishment, and I still buy Lucy's, and sometimes it's sometimes they start to pile up. I gotta get a couple of long boxes here soon. But anyway, the point being is that I get my pulls if they're open on July 4th because of the Batman holiday. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll, and of course just being during the day before the fireworks and all that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll pick up the Batman Wedding because I just want to read it. It's an iconic character. It's obviously a few books bigger than Batman, so
yeah,
I'll check it out.
Well, I'm
not just gonna say I need something to talk about on the podcast. No, I'm just genuinely interested in this because I've seen promotions on social media and comic book sites promoting this whole thing. So I want to see what the fuss is about.
Well, and in fairness, I'm sure it will be a good story. Tom King is one of the better comic book writers out there right now today. And they've brought in, I don't know who all the artists are on it. I guess I could go look it up here for a second, but they're bringing in some of the bigger artists to do this. Obviously, there's a Jim Lee piece that should say it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting you say that, Mike, because I don't know about you, and maybe you had better experience. I feel like the comic book stores now that are available to me are all leaps and bounds better than the ones when I was a kid.
Yeah, they got to up their game to stay in business.
Is it that? Well, it just felt like usually every place I used to go into was a giant hole in the wall. The guy practically lived there. It was like a minefield to get through. And really, in reality, it just didn't seem like a pleasant experience. It was kind of one of those, I'm here to get my books. You kind of have a conversation maybe for a couple of minutes with the guy because nobody could be in there that long. And then you kind of get your stuff and go. I feel like today it's different. Like, I don't know. I don't know about your comic.
Well, the shop I go to, they do a lot of magic. Because you know what? It makes them money. And I'm fine with them making money. Magic is not my thing. And sometimes I gotta walk past a couple of the magic people so I can go to the register and get my stuff and go. Because these kids are just gawking at the cards or they're talking about what cards they want and it's just not my thing, so it's all good. But this place does tournaments weekly with the magic, and of course the new cards come out all the time where they do the blind tournaments, But yeah, my comic book store, it's fine. It gets the job done, and it's local, so I don't have far to go. There was one that was like 10 miles away. It was way bigger. But you know what? They closed because I probably couldn't make rent because it was a big location.
Well, like, for example, in Chicago we've gotten lucky in that stores have kind of evolved. And there still are those hole-in-the-wall stores. They still kind of exist. But, you got to, like, for example, on the north side, you got a store like Dark Tower that's been around forever. It has a little bit of that hole-in-the-wall feel to it. But they also have the ability, like, for example, where, if there were people who used to do a local podcast, and on Friday nights they would do their comic book podcast, and you could come out and be a live studio audience and be somewhere to hang. And it was some of the guys from the Chicago area who would come out who were comic book guys. You could run into a Mike Norton, for example, and I did on a couple of occasions, or if you're a fan of Word Balloon, John Suntress, just to give some ideas. And that was kind of unique and different because it gave it a different feel. Challengers, they have a few locations here. It's nicer. They're nicer. It's a lot more comfortable. You can hang out and read a book if you want to. It's a different feel. Oh yeah, in Skokie, I can't say enough about it. Especially if you've got kids, it's really kid friendly. I know that they have a women's night where they have about books, and then I think they still on Sunday have their almost kind of like their book reading, their bagel nosh. But I have to check. It's been a while. But Oh Yeah is Art and Franco who do Tiny Titans and do Oh Yeah Comics. Yeah. So and they, because they have a lot of friends who are in the community, they'll bring people in and they'll bring people in for signings, and they've done like after hours parties where, like, it was funny. That's how I met Mark Waid, and I was kind of like, wow, Mark Waid.
You're starstruck?
Yeah, I kind of was. But yeah, I like I said, I kind of, I wish it was, I wish I was buying more now, because the guys who I feel like I gave money to all those years, that I was kind of like, when I was really, really, really wanting to buy comics, there were a lot of times where I was like, I really don't want to give these guys money. The exception was when I was in Indy, and Comics Carnival was always good. Comics Carnival in Indianapolis is a chain. I think it's still out there. They were really good, and maybe part of the reason they were good was they had a couple people from the university who were working there that I knew who were in the dorms. And so we would talk about stuff when I would see them around campus. So maybe that's the difference there too. But, it feels like now the stores have a lot more community to them. And I think that's great.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, especially now, that and just we've talked about how geek culture has become so mainstream now.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it too, is that there's a greater demand now. It's not just a bunch of casuals. Well, you get more casuals in now. People are like, oh yeah, I saw the Avengers movie. Maybe I'll pick up this book about this Thanos guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get it. And then you get the little kids who want to they buy the Iron Man mask at the Walmart and they want to get an Iron Man comic. And that's how a lot of people learn to read. And I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That comic books are how young people, I wish I had frequented them more. Just earlier this year, I just finally read Batman Year One. That was a great book.
Yes. Yeah, that's Frank Miller. Yeah, very, very good. I mean, there's two Frank Millers really that you got to look at, which is, you've got Dark Knight and then you've got Year One.
Yeah.
Those are probably the big two Frank Miller Batman books, and then Frank Miller on Daredevil, his runs were incredible. So there's always that. Like I said,
So while I hope this is a popular book and something like this will DC won't crap on their retailers by spoiling them in a major news publication before the comic comes out.
Yeah.
If I do that, just seems pretty stupid.
Well, I mean, I think the hope is that you get more of the general population to come out and buy it by doing that, because you get the exposure to the New York Times. I just question why you have to give that much away in order for someone to buy it at that level. Or if you're going to give that much away, maybe you need to be careful about how you do it. Like, it's funny, I don't want to compare this, but when all those stories came out about the whole Marvel Steve Rogers is a Hydra person.
Yeah, the whole Hail Hydra thing that became a meme. Yeah,
that thing turned into a nightmare and a mess. And
Marvel had to actually do a course correction. Of course, they couldn't change anything in the first couple issues. What was that, Secret Empire?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was Secret Empire. Yeah.
I feel bad because it's kind of strange, because it's like you want them to tell their own stories, but then sometimes some of the stories. It's double-edged. To me, when that whole thing happened, my reaction is, fine, then I don't need to buy that. There's a million Captain America issues that are out there that I can go buy that I don't have or I haven't seen. And, I'll rent this from the library later and see if it was worthwhile. And if it is, then I'll buy it. But there's so much product out there now that it's just kind of crazy when people are going nuts about it, but it's the current product, and some people want to be up on the current product.
Hi, guys.
Speaking of current product, how are we doing?
Well, we're doing okay. Did you guys discuss about the Catwoman Batman thing that's going out there now?
Yes, we have.
We finished that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have closed the book on it, so to speak.
Unless you have any final thoughts on it.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay. Big comic news, the Ant-Man and the Wasp. We'll talk about that next week here on the podcast, and then of course the end of next week is. Wait, that's in 2 weeks. Is Comic-Con?
Is it really?
Yeah. And us Transformers fans, we got us a delightful nugget. There's a Transformers Bumblebee panel in Hall H. Yeah. Dropping it.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that worth the price of admission for a 3-day pass, or just a single thing?
Well, most people who go to Comic-Con aren't just there for Transformers.
Yeah, I know that. But I'm just
people are there for everything. The fact is, this is the first time any live-action Transformers movie is getting a panel in Hall H. And Haley Steinfeld will be there. John Cena will be there, if you can see him. Wink.
Yeah.
Travis Knight, Jorge Lindborg Jr., I guess, director Travis Knight. Yeah, they'll be on the panel to promote Bumblebee. So maybe we'll get to see some footage. Ooh. Yeah. I've never been this excited for a Bumblebee movie since the 07, so I hope. Now, it's not just like rolling my eyes saying, I hope it's good. This one looks good. The trailer looks great for this Bumblebee movie. I have high hopes.
I was impressed with the trailer.
Yeah. I honestly, I have high hopes for it for a different reason, which I am convinced that in 10 years' time, John Cena will be the top action star in America.
Yeah, he's going the way of Dwayne Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, I really am convinced of that, and I think that this is a vehicle that can get him there, and he's kind of missed that vehicle, but he's done a lot of the little right things to get his career in the right direction.
Yeah. Did you see that movie where he was the voice of that bull?
I did not.
Yeah, I forget the name of that one.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, Ferdinand. That's it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ivan. Did you see it?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Just like he did the kid like the comedy that came out recently that it's about to be on demand, that Blockers thing. It looked funny, but I was like, I'm not paying $10 to see this thing. I will probably try to watch it at the house for $5-6 though. So
better a DVD presentation, huh?
I guess, like I said, I don't know how you guys do it, but for me, the question becomes: is this something I want to pay? How much am I willing to pay to see this in the movie theater?
Well, it's just it's a matter of one, curiosity, and two, how much money you're willing to pull out of your wallet to satisfy your curiosity.
Well, and then there's three. If I'm going to the movie theater and I'm watching this, even if I can do it on the cheap, did I feel like paying for the concessions that by the time it's over, I could have just ate the stuff at home and watched it on DVD?
So you're saying you get how does it balance out paying the size of a you can go ahead and eat serve 4 people for what they serve in concessions, watch the movie, which of course in of itself is an expense, against buying it or renting it and then staying at home and eating the same amount of food.
Yeah. Well, we know the reason why concessions are so expensive at the movie theater, but I choose to patronize the theater.
Well, I'd like to support the theater, especially the smaller theaters.
Yes.
Because unlike the larger theaters, the big box theaters, if you will, City 14 and all the rest of them, with all their bells and whistles, yeah, those are all the niceties. But I've got the Logan Theater, not even 5 minutes walk from where I'm living. I can go in there, and I can enjoy a nice movie in smaller quarters. I mean, no less spectacular. Just they got 3 theaters in there, and and the fact that also the Logan Theater for me has had a huge part of my life attached to it. So for me, it's like coming home again. So it's really nice that I can do that over at the Logan Theater. No, I don't mind paying for the concessions. I don't mind paying for the popcorn and the soda and everything like that, as long as it gives me that little piece of, that little piece of my childhood or my teenage years and stuff to remain there, and for something of the past to continue into the future. Oh, speaking of theaters, I was part of the Change.org write-in campaign to open up the Uptown Theater. Well, guess what? $75 million, I think, is the price tag I saw on it. Mm-hmm. But they're gonna renovate it, and they're gonna reopen it after all these years. I'm thrilled that I was able to I was a part of that. Signing my name to the petition to get that theater open and renovated. I'm excited to go back in there because that was a theater that was also a part of my growing up. And to be back in there again, because I haven't stepped foot in the Uptown Theater since I was, I want to say 14, 15. So that's how long it's been closed and shuttered. And it should be landmark status. It should, because, if you were to see pictures of the interior of its glorious, wonderful aesthetic that makes up that theater. So, yeah, once they open up that theater, for sure I'm going to go there and see movies. And, yeah, the concessions and stuff might be a little costly. But if it keeps that theater open for the future, if it keeps that theater going and yeah, I don't mind paying just a little bit more because then I'm trying to help something along to continue, something to be appreciated for the future as well as the present. I guess that's my mission. When I go out to movies, I try to patronize the small theaters, like I mentioned about the Music Box and watching Aladdin. That would be cool. Yeah, I've seen Aladdin on the video, and I've seen Aladdin on DVD and everything. But there's just something about when you go to a theater that there's no experience like it. Rather you do it simply, like I like to do it, or if you go for all the bells and whistles, if you're into all the bells and whistles of IMAX or surround sound or digital 5.1, whatever it is that turns you on.
Yeah.
But I just like to watch a good movie, take a bunch of friends, or go on my own, put my money down, support that theater, because that makes me happy.
Yeah, next month Fathom Events is doing a widescreen, actually theatrical broadcast of the 68 Comeback Special. So I think I'm going to go see that next month. If I can
I love the Phantom Events. The Phantom Events are fabulous.
Yeah. So this Uptown Theater is getting renovated. Did this money come from private donors, or where's this money coming from that's going to be...
I think there was a number of different companies that got together to put this money down.
All right.
I mean, that's my understanding of it. I mean, that's what I think I know. But all I know is I'm excited and I'm elated that the Uptown is going to be reopened. I can't wait to actually go there and walk in those hallowed halls, to sit down in the velvet seats, to check out the red carpets, to watch the sweeping stairwells and the gold-gilded ornamentation that's all over that theater. I hope they renovate the organ, because I would love to see a silent movie there sometime. And I hope they incorporate bands like they do at the Chicago Theater. It's an exciting thing, because it's a piece of history in my life, as it was for many people, to go to this theater. Because when I was a kid, I used to walk to the Riviera, which was right across the street from the Uptown. I would do the Disney Double on Saturday afternoon. Then I would go over to the Uptown in the evening and see a movie there. So I had a Saturday dedicated to nothing but watching great movies in great theaters. I'm sad that the Riviera went to the fate that it did, and now it's become a music venue instead of a theater. Because
I remember as a kid. I mean, even as a kid, it was okay. B96 has an event at the Riv. It's been a music venue for a while, but to your point, just so you're aware,
yeah,
this is a WGN story.
Okay,
which is the new plan is part of Mayor Emanuel's attempt to set up and this you're going to be happy about this. Set up an entertainment district at Broadway and Lawrence Avenue with the Uptown Theater, the Riviera Theater, and the Aragon Ballroom as anchors. The money will come from public and private sources, including a tax, and I guess this is supposed to be increasement, financing, state bonds, federal tax credits, with developers spending $25 million to bring back the theater from the near dead.
Hey, I'm psyched. I'm psyched, and that makes me happy. I'm just happy that they're going to open it. And yes, making it a district, it's a great idea. Well, and I'm not taking nothing away from the Riviera, because remember, when I went to the Riviera, it was this beautiful, ornate theater, big. It was, when Vista Vision was big, and they had the big white screen and stuff. And it was, like I said, it was a huge screen. It was a beautiful theater. Okay, and it got reconfigured into a music venue. Okay, God bless them. They can still do groovy things there as a music venue. That's fine. But I just remember it as a theater growing up. And then when the Uptown closed, and I was devastated, because I was just like, oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful theater. And then it's taken, I'm going to be 58 in August. So it's been close to 40 plus years that theater has sat closed.
Uptown was closed for 35 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last concert, I found the article from the Tribune. The last concert was Jay Giles' band in 1981.
Okay.
Centerfold.
Well, the reason being, I said that it was 40 plus years is because, all right, maybe they might have tried to open it up for bands and everything on and off, but as far as remembering it as a movie theater.
Yeah, right. It was a musical venue after it became a movie theater. So.
Yeah. So.
And then shuttered its doors, but it'll be private and public funding is the $75 million. So, yeah, we're paying for a little bit of it. So.
Well, you know what? But it deserves to be preserved. It really does. So many of our venues, so many of our buildings, so much of our architecture deserves to be preserved. But yet, a lot of that preservation, has been lent to the wrecking ball with the gentrification of what happens in Chicago. Yeah, I understand. Out with the old, in with the new. But then, how are you going to learn anything about the past if you wipe it out? But then, of course, maybe this is just the ramblings of a sentimentalist, of a person drenched in nostalgia. But I feel, I'm not trying to say, we'd love to save all of it. I wish we could save all of it. But practical, I don't know. I just know that so many beautiful things, can be done. I'm just happy to see that at least that theater is not going to go the way of the Tivoli and a number of other theaters that ended up getting shuttered and then knocked down or made into other things or reconfigured into other things. That's all. Just it makes me happy.
Well, okay. We'll see. I mean, what is it? I don't remember how long it's been now since the Broadway theater district or the play musical district has been put into place, but that has thrived and really done quite a bit for the city.
Oh yes, it has, and it's a beautiful thing. The Cadillac Theater and the Oriental and all the rest of those wonderful venues. I mean, back. Here we go back in my day. You could go downtown and walk within blocks of each other the numbers of different theaters, movie theaters and such, that now, as time has gone on, have been reconfigured into theaters for Broadway plays in the play district that it has become. I mean, we've always been a play town in Chicago. I mean, with its independent summer stock style type plays. I mean, I worked for a summer stock theater for a while, the theater building, which was on Belmont and Southport for a while. And, worked with the Organic Theater on Clark Street for a bit. And, we've always been a theater town, but with the theater district downtown being what it is now, I mean, I'm thrilled to see it thriving the way it is, and it just continues to do so many wonderful things. I mean, I've seen Wicked, I've seen I'm trying like that. The name just escapes me. The Lion King. There we go. I've seen that twice. I've seen Wicked twice. I would like to see more. I'd like to see more once I have the opportunity. But the things I got to see, amazing. You got to see the Cher show.
Yeah, and I think pre-tickets for, I guess they're doing a musical for Tootsie that's coming up. It's coming in the fall. So
okay.
We'll see where that goes. And then, I can't remember the exact name, but the Evan Hansen thing, I think, is next spring or something like that that's coming from Broadway, which was kind of a hot piece. But there's a lot of in-between type stuff at Goodman and different places around the city. I mean, if you're not on Gold Star or you're not on Hot Ticks, you're crazy because you can get some amazing deals. But, Mike, I'm just curious because Ivan's talking about independent theaters, but you and I kind of live in the burbs.
Yep.
I gotta be honest. I don't know that there is an independent movie theater nearby me anymore.
Well, there's the Rouse Center in Woodstock. That's pretty much the closest, and they've had musical acts. They've had a little bit of runs of plays. Now, of course, the Woodstock Opera House. That's right here by me too. So I've got it near me, but not that I've ventured there.
Right, but
there's a Tivoli over there in Downers Grove. That's still around.
But when it comes to like an actual like independent movie theater, is there? I mean, I know you're further out than I am, so maybe there is more. If anything, there's more independent theater around where I'm at. You've got the Skokie Theater where they're putting on things on a regular basis.
You have Drury Lane, don't you?
No, well, Drury Lane's out by Oak Brook. That's
way down there.
Yeah, that's further west, and there's some interesting stuff. But you've got the Oil Lamp in Glenview. You've got, I can't remember what it is up north. You've got Center East, which is here. You've got what's the name? Northlight Theater. It's surprising just in the Skokie, Glenview, North Shore area what you have, and it's kind of surprisingly impressive in those regards. But yeah, that's one of those things when that's one of the reasons why people talk about why with all the stuff that's going on with all the everything that's going on with Chicago when it comes to taxes and money and what's going on with everything. I still tell people there's really, when the weather's good, there's really no better place to be than this city because there's just there's so much to do, there's so much to see, and
so much to do.
Yeah, yes. and actually it's kind of funny. I don't know if you caught this. So I guess Naperville is having their RibFest this coming weekend. I mean,
I believe so.
This is how crazy this has gotten, gentlemen. How crazy we've gotten in Chicago and where we're at these days. RibFest, Naperville is freaking it's so. I mean, I wouldn't call it close. It's not even. It's a good hour away from the city.
Yeah, it's at least an hour away from where I'm at.
Okay. Here are the musical acts. For the 4 days that are out there at RibFest. Now, keep in mind, this is Naperville. I mean, we're talking a Chicago suburb. Now, granted, there's 100,000 people out there, but we're not talking a close Chicago suburb. We're talking. I mean, you're almost on the way to. Well, you're on your way to Aurora. You're on your way out west.
No, yeah, you're on your way to St. Charles, pretty much.
No, right. It's not quite that far west.
Yeah, it's not that quite far.
St. Charles is like edge of the earth.
The point being is, if you're coming from downtown Chicago, just to give people reference who don't live here, you're talking about easily a 2-hour car ride, or you're talking about taking Metro out there. I mean, for me to get there, and I'm in the burbs, we're talking probably 45 minutes or so. But check out who they have for a.
Who's on the bill? Who's on the bill? I'm excited.
Okay, keep in mind, this isn't Taste of Chicago. This is a suburban bill,
right?
For their RibFest. Here's Wednesday. Wednesday is Stray Cats,
okay,
Melissa Etheridge, and the Buckinghams.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
I know this is good for Thursday night. I know that the two of you are going to sit there and be like, whatever, but this is kind of a surprising thing. Thursday night is Pitbull.
Okay.
Which,
Yeah, Pitbull is huge.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking a guy who's
You're talking Pitbull.
Right, millions of records, Mr. 305, and he's not playing downtown. He's not playing at one of the major venues.
He's playing RibFest.
He's playing Naperville RibFest.
Yeah.
Dude, this is crazy. Friday, I don't recognize any of these names. I'm sure Ivan will. A guy by the name of Jake Owen, a guy named Jordan Davis, and Chris Jansen. I don't recognize any of those names. Maybe it's country. Could it? I don't know. I don't know the names.
No, I'm not familiar. Sorry.
Saturday. Saturday we get back to we get back to where you're sitting there going, holy crap. So one of them is Haley Reinhart. The other is Steven Tyler.
Wow.
With the Loving Mary Band. And I'm like, looking at this, and I'm like, this is Naperville. We're not talking about going down to the Taste. You know, this is the Burbs. This is freaking Rib. You're talking about
I mean, it's not unlikely. Because I remember in Northbrook.
Now we have echo.
In Northbrook. I'm sorry. In Northbrook, I got to see Jim Pederick, Mr. Ides of March 38 special, in Northbrook. I saw Jay and the Americans in Northbrook.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Three Dog Night in Niles. And I've seen Ronnie Rice in Deerfield.
Yeah, but look, think about the map. I mean, here's the crazy part, and I didn't even get to this. This is the crazy part. There is a second. They have a main stage that's sponsored by Navistar, and that's the main stage. And then they have what's called the Nissan South stage. I mean, you have multiple stages for RibFest. I mean, this sounds. I mean, to give people perspective, in this neck of the woods in the Midwest, at least in the Midwest, this kind of area, you're talking about Taste of Chicago usually will have music like this, and then in reality, you're talking about either Summerfest up in Milwaukee,
right,
about an hour and a half away, depending on where you're at, and then the Wisconsin State Fair has a lot of great acts. But
yeah, along with Summerfest, yeah.
Right, but really in reality, this, if it continues to go the way it is, I mean, we could be talking about Naperville RibFest in the same vein as Summerfest, as in the same vein as
Taste of
Chicago, as in the same vein as the Wisconsin State Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy part to this.
That's pretty freaking amazing, though, that they actually got to pull that off,
Yeah.
But it's, in fairness, based on how the city has sprawled and how things have moved out, throughout the city, it's not surprising. And given the fact that out that way you still have space to create something like this, yeah, absolutely. Totally makes sense.
And for years, you've had good acts, big acts, popular acts at the Ravinia.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's true.
And that's up on the North Shore.
Right.
I saw the Temptation in Four Tops. The Temptations didn't show up, but the Four Tops put out a great show. Saw Jethro Tull there at Ravinia. And they've managed to pull off a whole bunch of different great things at Ravinia.
It's funny though how these acts have evolved, how these venues have evolved, moving these big artists outside the big city, outside of somewhere where you'd expect like the United Center or the Allstate Arena for them to go to. Instead, they're going to these smaller places. So that's cool.
Well, I think it serves two different purposes. One, as the acts get older. Because the question, are they gonna be able to fill a theater of any type of size or a venue of this type of size? I think it might be easier for them to fill up places like, say, Ravinia or RibFest or Taste of Chicago or something in lieu of maybe, say, the Chicago Theater or Rosemont or other big stage situations, so and then two, I think the demographic, has changed over the years. Whereas, Chicago by and large, it has become a younger demographic. Therefore, some of the more trendy and more popular and progressive acts end up staying downtown and such, whereas some of the older acts.
I'm going to challenge that, Ivan.
Well, I'm just saying as a thought.
I'm going to challenge that because I'm looking at the Ravinia schedule, and you'll never guess who is making his Ravinia debut on September 6th this year. You'll never.
Okay. Who?
50 Cent.
Okay, so 50 Cent.
50 Cent is playing Ravinia in Highland Park.
All right, but then see, there's my point. How long has 50 Cent been out there?
Since the 90s, right?
Oh, wow. Could it really be 20 years already? It could be.
Yeah, 20 years. So if 50 Cent is getting Ravinia, there's the point being made, because now he's doing Ravinia, which means that, okay, is he drawing that type of crowd like he did 20 years ago? No, he's not.
I just want to see how that goes.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be interesting seeing a bunch of people out there, trying to get down with the funky down,
Yeah. Well, Shorty, it's your birthday. And you know what else? I'll give you one better that's a little bit closer to this date. July 20th, out at Ravinia.
Okay.
Mary J. Blige.
Who?
Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige. Again, how long has Mary J. Blige been out there?
Forever. I mean, it feels like forever, but,
Well, okay, we're talking maybe 20 plus 20 years. Mary J. Blige is out there. Of course, Ravinia, being the place that it is, and of course the draw, and of course whoever is, booking these acts, because it's like, the acts are older. And, do they have the same type of a draw? I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to go there. But as far as, as time goes by, okay, that'd be just like, all right, I started in a hole-in-the-wall club. So I got discovered, so I got to go to a bigger venue. I got famous, so I'm filling arenas and, big places and everything. And as I get older and my voice isn't as good as it used to be and such, all right, well, I'm not filling those theaters and clubs, like those theaters and arenas like I once did. We'll do smaller venues. And then it just kind of revolves down again till you're finally back to the intimate rooms again. That's kind of how a lot of these, acts end up, going in that type of way.
Yeah, just though the 50 Cent fans aren't the kind of fans that are just going to buy some wine and cheese and get a blanket and listen out on the speakers.
Well, that's not
video.
They're not.
That's not true. They'll get the blanket, but I don't know that they're the
They'll
ones.
get the blanket, but they're going to do other things on that blanket other than wine and cheese.
Yeah, I think that's the day you gotta make sure that
Grind and squeeze.
Yeah.
That's the day you gotta make sure the hard liquor is available. I'll just say that.
So, Jeff, we have to cap it up here in a little bit. So, do we have any final news for like a lightning round?
Wait, hold on. I got better for you. Jethro Tull will be there on September 3rd. So he'll warm it up for 50 Cent.
Who?
Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull. Well, I saw Jethro Tull at Ravinia.
They're gonna play Ravinia. They're
doing it again?
Here's the crazy one, Mike. You'll enjoy this.
All right.
The 31st of August and the 1st of September, Culture Club with Boy George, the B-52s, and it says Thompson Twins, and then it says Tom Bailey. I don't know who Tom Bailey is, but talk about going back to the 80s. Holy cow.
That's an entirely 80s bill.
Yeah, that's
an entirely 80s bill. That's so totally focused on that whole situation. I mean, okay, right now, it seems like, the 80s are the vogue again in a lot of places, the 70s.
I know Duran Duran was at Ravinia last year.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in fairness, they've played smaller venues before. Like, I remember when in the late 90s, I remember that Duran Duran was playing House of Blues. And the reason I remember it was one of the few times I wanted to go over to House of Blues and see. But I'll tell you right now, that show was sold out. Good luck getting a ticket for Duran Duran at freaking House of Blues. That was impossible. And I'm sure it was an amazing show.
Well, yeah, again,
that's a small venue, and that's the kind of venue that if you're going to see somebody like Duran Duran, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, that just goes to show again that, as the bands evolve and everything, they promoters and such, they're looking at places where the rooms are going to fill. Okay? And, that becomes the this or that situation. Well, do we book Duran Duran into the Chicago theater where they may not fill all the seats against the House of Blues where we'll fill all the seats? See, that's just what they're looking for. That's what, because it looks better when you're taking a picture of Duran Duran with the throngs of screaming fans in a full house against, a theater where they're playing and then, the main floor is full but the balcony is empty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all about that type of a presence, It's all about that type of strategy in order to, for the people to buy the tickets and to fill the house, but also to make it look good, and also to make the people who are performing feel like, oh wow, we filled up a house, Because there's nothing worse than going out on stage and you're playing to the chairs. I know.
So Mike asked me to get us to the wrap up point. So as usual, I found something from the hallowed halls of wherever we could find something wacky and truly amazing. So we'll go with it. Ladies and gentlemen, this story is a recent story, and it happened in Macon-Bibby County in Macon, Georgia, because that's where all the good stuff happens. An armed man robs Dollar General and leaves his ID card behind. The police are investigating an armed robbery that took place at the Dollar General located in Bloomingfield Road. The suspect began shopping and acted as if he was going to purchase a laundry basket and a knife still in a package. He approached the clerk and asked to buy the pack of cigarettes. The clerk said he was unable to sell the cigarettes without identification. The suspect returned to his car to retrieve his ID. After the knife was scanned, the suspect opened it up and used it to threaten the clerk and attempt to force him to fill the laundry basket full of cigarettes. The clerk refused, got out of the way, at which point the suspect began filling the laundry basket himself. Once he finished, he fled in his vehicle. No injuries were reported. However, once investigators arrived, they discovered the suspect's ID was left behind on the counter. The ID belonged to Carlos Antonio Cruz, 42 years old, approximately 5'7". The vehicle was identified. Here's a photo attached. If anyone, apparently he's still available. He's out and about.
He's still at large?
He's still at large, apparently.
With his laundry basket full of cigarettes.
Yeah.
His ID that he left behind.
Wait, there has to be an update on this, because really, in reality, it's they've got a car, they've got a plate tag. This guy is not getting far.
No, he's not.
but I mean,
when's this article dated?
Today.
By next week, we'll have the laundry basket full of cigarette update for next week's podcast. Well, let's see if we
can. I just love the part where, of all the places you're going to rob the Dollar General for what, cigarettes? You couldn't.
Did he even go in the till? Did he even ask for money yet?
This is stupid.
Oh my god. Yep. Must be the heat getting to him.
I guess. Well, no, I mean, the heat was obviously... Here's the part that's crazy. At least he was innovative. He got the knife from the Dollar General. It begs the question, how good of a knife could it possibly have been?
From the Dollar General. How good could that knife have been?
I don't know. I mean, well, in fairness, they do have cutlery. So,
yeah, they do. Yeah.
I mean, they do have steak knives. I don't know how good of a knife it would have been. But, if you're going to rob somebody, I'm kind of, I'm kind of amused by the fact that, so wait, now that I'm reading this a little bit more, he didn't take any money?
He didn't go for the till?
He didn't go for the till. Apparently he just filled it with cigarettes?
Boy, now that is one big smoke habit he's got.
Because places like Dollar General, they tend to take cash, maybe on the higher or more than, say, like Target or Walmart. More people will pay with their cards, but with a place like Dollar General, a lot of people are paying with cash because it's lower amounts usually.
Right.
Yeah, well, no, that's why I'm laughing, because I'm like sitting there and I'm like, okay, so let's recap this, shall we? He escaped with the knife that he took from the store, the laundry basket, and apparently all the cigarettes you could imagine you could smoke. And there's no money. And oh, by the way, you left your ID. I don't even know where to.
What's he gonna do? He's gonna go ahead and take all these cigarettes, and he's going to sell these cigarettes to get the money that he necessarily needs, unless he's got a 4-pack a day habit he needs to satisfy.
Well, I mean, maybe he's got a place to sell them black market. Oh wait, that's
he'll go to Indiana. He'll get a premium there.
Well, you know what? He'll have plenty of places to sell it when he's in jail.
Yeah, he'll use them for currency to keep himself from getting butthurt in the shower.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that's, like I said. I am impressed.
Please don't hurt me. I'll tell you. I'll give you 10 packs. Please don't hurt me.
I gotta be honest. I am impressed. Usually stories like this are usually Florida or Ohio or Kentucky. I am shocked that this is Georgia.
Okay.
I shouldn't be, but I am shocked.
Tyler Perry's backyard, you know.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're finding better and better ones. If you have a story that you wish to bring to us that is wacky and zany that you think we'd find funny,
yes, please.
You can bring it to the Squares of the Roundtable podcast, and obviously Mike can tell you all the details on how you reach us.
You betcha. We are on Facebook on Squares of the Roundtable podcast. We also have an email. This is an electronic email. Perhaps you've heard of it. If you have a phone, I don't have a phone, but do have an electronic letter. It's an email. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. We are also on Facebook. I've told you about that. We're on Instagram and Twitter at sotrtpodcast. We're on the YouTubes. We appreciate you listening very much. And this, of course, this weekend being the 4th of July, we're probably going to post this up on Wednesday. So that being the 4th. So if you're listening on the 4th, thank you. If you're listening on the 5th, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, of course, be mindful of your pets. More pets go missing on the 4th of July more than any other day of the year. So have fun for the 4th of July weekend, but please don't forget to take care of your pets.
And take care of yourself. Don't do anything foolish. Don't drink and drive. Don't light up the firecrackers while you're holding on to them, please. This is no time to be brave or try to be a show-off.
Don't be like any given Jedi where you lose a hand, you know.
Now, and if you do, make sure you let us know so we can talk about it next week on the show.
On the wacky part of our show, okay?
Yeah. Let us know so we can put it and talk about you on the show.
We'll talk about the fatalities of the 4th of July on the next show.
Yeah, so give us a like and subscribe, and a happy 4th of July to you, Ivan and Jeff.
Happy 4th of July to you, Jeff and Mike. Enjoy. May the steaks and the hot dogs and the hamburgers grill real nice. May the fireworks be sparkly and beautiful, and enjoy yourselves, please.
And if you're in Chicago, may you make sure that you eat a hot dog without ketchup.
Yes.
I don't like mustard.
Okay, we're not going to go. We'll talk about this next time. We could go another hour on this all by itself.
Okay, and the whole sacrilege thing. Oh, yes. We could also talk about Wiener Circle. Okay, next week's show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Jeff Stein.
I'm Jivin' Ivan.
I'm Mike Boyle. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.
Take care.